few people, but they're really very few, who believe that the most important problem facing the country is abortion, guns, or affirmative action, to take three of the hot-button issues before the court. I suspect that if this were a discussion of abortion, affirmative action, or guns, we could start shouting at one another fairly quickly, but that most of you wouldn't share the intensity, saying that, you know, these are really so much more important than fill in the blank of global warming, getting control of our deficit, assuring that you in this room aren't going to be bankrupted by debt, and in fact can count on Social Security, not only for yourself, but more importantly for your parents, quite frankly, so that you don't find yourself in the same position that people were in the 1930s, where they had to take care of their elderly parents. There was nobody else who was going to step in and take care of them. That's the most important aspect of Social Security for most of you in this room, the way it liberates you from having to take care of people my age. Supreme Court has almost nothing to say about that. And lawyers have a professional interest in overestimating the centrality of the Supreme Court. We quote Alexis de Tocqueville saying altogether falsely, demonstrably falsely, that every issue becomes a legal issue ultimately decided by the U.S. Supreme Court. That's just false. Even if you grant the proposition that Americans legalize their politics more than most other countries do, it's still not the case that the Supreme Court is necessarily going to answer that. I mean, a very important issue before us today is the ability of presidents to take us to war. Do you need congressional declarations? Do you need recurrently updated authorizations for the use of military force? Isn't there something a bit scandalous about relying on 2001 authorization for the use of military force in order to defend what we're doing with regard to ISIS? Supreme Court, rightly or wrongly, isn't going to touch this with a 10-foot pole. The issue is going to be debated in the court of public opinion. So I think, I mean, if I were a delegate to a constitutional convention, or if I were an expert testifying before the constitutional convention, I would say one of the things we need to do is to get rid of life tenure for Supreme Court judges. Single 18-year terms are enough. But if you ask me what are the dozen most important deficiencies of the Constitution, life tenure for Supreme Court judges would come in 12th place. There are other things that I think are more important. And so again, I don't want to be misunderstood. I don't think the courts are trivial. I think that they often do important things. But relatively speaking, I think that Congress and the President are more important in terms of explaining outcomes and the degree of satisfaction or alienation that most Americans feel with regard to the national government.
So I think we're running a little short on time. I know there were some other hands, and Professor Levinson can stick around and answer questions in more of a one-on-one format. But we are running short on time. I want to give everyone a chance to grab some more food, dessert, drink on your way out. But before you guys make another beeline for the food, can you please join me in thanking our speaker, Sanford?